All right, I'm about to start my. This is kind of an intro. This will not be my background. This will not be. I watch YouTube a lot, and before I start, I want to tell everybody, kind of introduce myself. My channel is going to be obviously cycling related. I'm going to show you my bikes. We'll talk about things I've done in the past, racing, whatever cool stuff, dumb stuff, whatever. We'll talk about it, but shout out Matty Active. I was on here and he posted a video about supporting his local bike shop was a huge mistake, and he's not wrong. And I'm not here to bash anybody. Um, that was a big thing with me. I've been riding since 1987, and in the late 80s, I mean, the shop was everything, especially to a kid like 16-year-old like me. It was everything. And my local ones, like shout out Free Flight. Had I not had, and J&J Schwinn was another one. If you're from Georgia, I live in Kennesaw. In Marietta, there was a shop called J&J Schwinn that I bought. Actually, I bought my first, wasn't a racing bike, so it was more like a touring. We called them touring bikes back then, but no yards. But this was down by, again, if you're from here, it was down the street from the Big Chicken. So that was it. It was that and Free Flight, and me not having a car yet, and it was either have mom take me over there or I had to get the books out. There was no YouTube yet, so I had to get the books out, and uh, you learn how to work on it yourself. And luckily me, I pick up on stuff real fast, and um, books were great. I probably still have the one. It's greasy, pages torn. It's so funny because you can see I've looked through it so many times with dirty hands that it's but it was the Bible. I mean, for when you didn't have a way to go to the shop, but when you did get to go to the shop, and he was talking about, how the bad thing that's happened is I've noticed this myself. And again, there's two shops, I'm not going to name them. I've done this for decades and decades, and when I get treated like crap or disrespectful or just the nose stuck, it's really, I mean, we all started at the same level. We all started, we were this person coming in that, you know, is brand new, and the snooty snoot attitude, the snickering and laughing, all this guy, whatever, there's no need for that. The whole point is get more people into the sport, and the more excited they get, and the better you take care of them when they come in there, they're going to come back again, and I noticed the two I'm talking about, you go in there and it's just not mean, but it's just like, this is how you treat your, really, this is terrible. Where going back to the, like, Free Flight's a great one. Like when I was a kid, it was much smaller. Free Flight was much smaller then. It's huge now, but back in the day, it was much smaller, and you go in there and all those guys that worked in there were so helpful. Like it was, it's so funny. They were probably mid 20s, late 20s. We always, especially me, always thought they were old. I'm like, gosh, these guys are almost 30 years old. My gosh, they're still riding their bikes. It's funny. But they were so helpful, and there was no agenda, and there was no. I remember buying my bike from them. Speaking of the devil, J&J was the same way. They were very nice. You know, my budget. They knew what I wanted to spend. This is a perfect bike. This fits for what you're doing. They spent the time and talked to me, and here's this will be perfect for you. This, not at the time, the $5,000, $6,000. I wasn't ready. I wasn't even ready for a bike like that anyway. But they weren't trying to put. You'll get places. That's the agenda. How much money is this person going to spend? Nothing else. Not the experience coming in there in the or bike culture, and it, it was everything to me. As a late teenager, early 20s. That was everything to me. That whole culture. these guys raced. I wasn't racing yet. These guys raced, and they had magazines in there. You could look at the bike racing magazines, and the smell of the rubber tires. You'll know what I'm talking about if you've gone in shops. The um, just bike smell brand. You can tell when you. It's just the whole culture. And then what was neat about, like those two shops, they're like Free Flight too. It was when I bought my second bike, so helpful. And even what was cool about that, I bought, it was an 87 Centurion Ironman Expert. It was in a color called we call it Miami Vice now. Very 80s, it was magenta and yellow, very 80s flashy. But that was going into late 87, and usually new models come out the end of the previous year. The new models will start coming out, but the one I was looking at, I don't remember what I was looking at, but they had an 87 still in there, and that was that bike right there. And he was like, this one's same bike, basically, it's going to be coming out, but we've got a really good price on this one. This is perfect for you starting out. And he took the time. There was another one I think I was looking at, and I ended up deciding on getting that one, which ended up working out. But it was just the fact that it wasn't any kind of agenda or this attitude like, we don't need your business, whatever, and and it didn't run me off. It didn't. I came back again and again and again. Shout out Dan Thornton. You were so helpful to me as a kid, and I got to tell you that when you had your it was your anniversary for the shop, and I got to tell you that in person how helpful your shop was to me back in the day. Um, Fast forward again, I live in Kennesaw, but there was a shop in Ackworth. This would have been mid '90s. Um, I worked at a shop in Marietta, um, briefly. It didn't last long, but I'll tell two quick stories. But I'm pertaining to what he posted on YouTube, kind of give you an idea of what, this is, these two shops I'm about to mention. One was called The Bike Shop. It's kind of funny. That was actually the name of the shop. And that was Paul and Alex. Wish I could run into them now. They were great guys, brothers. Um, I didn't race mountain bikes till 95, 90, probably, but I think it was 1996 because my sister bought a 96 model GT Timberline, and they had a 95 like I did with the other one previous year. Great deal. You're starting racing. It was a Tequesta, which really technically isn't a racing bike, but it was a good bones to make something else out of or whatever. So I got a great deal. They took the time again. We talked racing because I'd not raced mountain bikes yet by then, so I had clueless on this whole subgenre. Road racing was this mountain bike, and they both had done it, so they really were very knowledgeable, very helpful, and taking the time to talk to me about the bike, show me everything. This is the difference in the and it was great. And the coolest thing that I wish people got to, especially new people getting into the sport of road, mountain, whatever, is the shop culture. That shop in particular, it was so cool because when he would close, we would come in there. You'd have guys that rode recumbents. You'd have guys that were touring bike guys. You'd have guys that were mountain bike guys. You'd have guys like me that were roadies. And we'd go hang out and we'd take food in there and we'd sit around and talk. And it wasn't always about bikes. It was just whatever was going on in the day. And that's what I'm talking about. That whole making relationships in there. And I wouldn't trade that for anything. And those two guys were wonderful for me. And starting the other part of and Michael Van Ness, shout out to you too, but that's a different story. But that shop was just so helpful. And every time I'd go in there and get something, then I rode for them eventually where I didn't have to go in there and, hey, I need, they knew and they would help me out because I rode for them. So they would, if I needed something, they would get it. But shop I worked at, we were the same way. We were called Bicycles of West Cobb, not around very long. Most people around here don't even remember this shop. It was down on Whitlock Avenue going toward Marietta. Um, and I remember, this is kind of service I'm talking about. I was raised like that. Give people your time, your effort, look like you actually give a damn, really actually make a connection with this person, no matter what it is you're doing. Um, I remember I was off, and the guy, I think the boss was off. Bill Dyer knew, he knew road bikes. He rode them. He was off. So Blake, friend of mine that was in there, he wasn't super knowledgeable about road bikes. I was off as well. I get a phone call. I'm at home. I might not even been at home. I might have been. This is like early cell phones too. This is like 1997. Um, so you get a phone call. It's like, hey man, I got a guy down here. It's wanting to buy a road bike. He's really interested in this. I can't help him the way that I need to. Can you come down here? So I'm like, yeah, I guess I can come down here or whatever. So I went down there and we sold. Since Free Flight was a Trek dealer, we weren't allowed to sell Trek. We were too close together. So the sub brands at the time, this is another story altogether, was LeMond, Gary Fisher, mountain bikes. So we had you're going to see my dog here in a minute, but um, he was looking for a road bike. And the Le Mans at that time were great. I had one myself. And I wasn't trying to sell them just because I had one, but he was looking at, if you know bikes, the Zurich was the second one down from the top. You had the Mitojan and you had the Zurich. I had a Zurich and it was super nice for the money. I think there were $1,500. I know it sounds like a lot of money, but back then it was under 2 grand, which a bargain for Ultegra and a Reynolds 853 frame. They were nice, and then I think it was the Buenos Aires. They went down, but I think a lot of them had the same frame. He was looking at a Zurich, and I spent on my own time, and again, it wasn't any kind of like I would have spent 6 hours with him if it wasn't about that. It was about the fact getting him on a bike so he can enjoy this and experience this awesome sport. I mean, it takes you getting on one and going down and riding. Silver Comet had just opened up. It wasn't open very long, so we had a place to go ride. And so I spent like 2 hours with this guy, just talking, just what are you wanting to do? What kind of riding are you going to be doing? Where are you going to be doing this at? What's the end goal? Do you want to start racing one day? Do you just want to commute? Do you want to ride to the grocery store and whatever, ride with your kids or whatever? It was a big long conversation. His name was Al. I actually still talk to him. Didn't work out, but that's okay. Here's the cool part of the story. It didn't matter that I didn't sell him a $2,000 bike. He bought one from another shop and it had nothing to do. It was just a better deal. It ended up being a better deal for him, the other one he got. But he came back in there because of the service. Did not looking, no, you didn't buy a bike. We don't want you, like he bought shoes one time. He came back. And that's the whole, like, I think too, it's very intimidating for new people to walk into a shop because and they're not all like, and again, I'm not bashing. There's some that are still very old school, have old school mentality service because, we're trying to get people on bikes. Young, old, rich, poor, doesn't matter. Now, I wasn't my upbringing middle class. I mean, I was no, the money was not wasn't there, so I had to build my way up to, you know, you know, make work what I had. You have a lot of people that come in and bikes are expensive. And that's the other thing. And that's a whole different topic. I may do a video on this one day. It's it's making it where, like I said, a new person will walk in and it's intimidating. And you get some salesperson that's all it's say bap, 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 I need you to, you're going to buy this, and that's not what you say. You're going to buy. No, You need them to find the thing that's going to make them happy and stay on the bike. I've seen too many bikes sold and they go straight into the garage and they never ride them again because either the bike's probably not the right fit for them, the right type of bike for them, so it goes straight in the garage, or they sell it or whatever, and the experience is over with. So it, I don't know. I mean, it, I it's weird. And sadly, I hardly, and it has nothing to do with shops anymore. I have no reason to. I mean, I learned everything myself just simply because I like working on bikes, and mine are all mechanical. I have no electronic shifting. I don't have any of that stuff. I love. I guess it's like old. It's just like owning an old car. I like working on bikes, and I learned everything I could. And believe it or not, thank goodness for YouTube. Like I said, there's still things occasionally I'm like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Oh my god, I'll have a bike or something that I don't know how to do that. Oh my gosh, but I want to go learn. And it's not that I don't want some guy in the shop. I need to learn myself just simply because if something does happen, like in your car when you're driving, and you hear a sound or a click, if you know what that is, you can say, "Oh my gosh, that's my alter," or whatever. I know what that is. Then you can go to say, "Hey man, my alternator went. I I need another alternator put in." You know beforehand what's instead of knowing nothing about. And I always tell people with bikes, learn everything you can about the bike, everything. Learn how to do a tune-up yourself, as well as taking it to the shop because they may be busy. They may not be able to get you in for a week or two, and you need your bike tuned up or whatever. So learn how to do it yourself. Changing a tube in a tire, putting a new chain on. Keeping your bike just like your car, keeping it. The old saying, "You take care of the bike will take care of you." Trust me, they will. They're almost my wife's. She always says they're like your children. Yes, they are, because they bring so much joy to my life. Besides my family does as well, but so does that sport. Or I would not be doing. There's days it's hard, but I love every minute of it. But I just wanted to. This is my introduction, so but be on the lookout for. This won't be this drabby backdrop. This won't be. This is just straight up, no script. I just wanted to. I saw this. I saw that video, and I'm like, he's right, and I feel sorry for the. That's why a lot of shops are going out of business, and it's not just the industry itself. It's just I think if you do the right thing in there, people will come in there, but people aren't buying bikes like they used to either. They're easier to get. You got Facebook Marketplace. I'm guilty of that, but at least it keeps them on the road. I'm getting a bike somebody was either going to get rid of or there was out. Let me take it and and let me see if I can fix it up and I'll keep it. But anyway, everybody be on the lookout. I'll let you guys know. Anyway, forgot to introduce myself. My name's Robbie, and I guess I'm. I guess I can say this now. I'm a lifelong cyclist, and now it's my turn to. I've got tons of stuff to tell you guys. I got tons of stuff that I've been just dying to. Somebody will listen, I hope, because I got some really good stuff. I'm gonna show you my bikes, and I got a bunch of bikes, and we'll talk about racing. We'll talk about racing from the past. I'll show you other things I do in cycling besides ride. I'm a big historian in it too, but we'll talk about that. But anyway, take care and look for me soon.